It's just been so long I forgot what the fuck I was doing. I guess we'll do another Lapino round.
Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause, and maybe Renato could use that somehow. Ah, Lapino.
Okay, this is gonna be really, really annoying. I just don't like Lapino, man. I said last week, but always and forever.
Apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait.
Nigga shit.
Where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the ravens?
I love it when time stops, man.
The ravens had taken the town. Renato had seen villages emptied like this. All the people taken away to be sacrificed in the Emperor's secret rituals. Renato hoped the people were just hiding.
Yeah, I think I got all my sword upgrade.
Impatient.
I could be wrong. Don't have any more of these right now. Hopefully I don't fuck up and die.
Renato looked around the empty village and reflected. The Sky Ripper had turned out to be far too dangerous to be used. Time to turn to what he knew best.
Yeah, hit that tight. Okay, so where are we? Man, I don't that's how I know I play this game. Alright, so
Hey, who do I have to kill to get a drink around here? You? Okay.
I feel so my favorite, man.
Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lapino. Well, unless he really was a traitor. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest. Don't be shy. Lapino would betray him. But now Renato knew that. What would Lapino do if he knew that Lapino was going to betray him? Well, he'd concoct some crazy scheme, wouldn't he? Use Lapino's betrayal against him and it would blow up in space. Maybe he was overthinking this. That would be a first. Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the car.
We capture Zenobia and find out what she knows.
That's the whole war right there. Easy peasy.
Okay, so
lemon
now I gotta
squeezy.
check what I did
Capture
before.
the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Okay, so time to see what I did before. Check this flange, just do it. Okay, set this flange, take it to the intended. Don't take this. Reject the PO's plan, don't trust the Nobia. So I've done both of those routes. So I should go for the Sky Ripper. Is what I'm getting. Yeah, so find the core. Because I did both of those.
To make the Sky Ripper, the Transcendent Emperor had wrapped an armature. It's beautiful here, thought Ronaldo. It was nice to be back with his old war buddy. All right. Lapino was a traitor. But still, it was good company.
Yeah, I don't think I've done this one before, even on my first time playing this game.
Ronaldo checked for a false compartment. Nope.
I kind of want to grind experience just so I can, like, try to get the rest of my abilities.
Ronaldo was remembering all his old tricks, and some new ones. He really ought to ask for a raise.
Okay, what I spend on next? All the time, shit. That'll make this a bit more. It'll make my life easier. No matter how I get it.
Something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
Turn around, assholes.
Ronaldo felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds. He didn't count the ravens. Ronaldo smelled sick animals and dying ones. No healthy ones. I'm getting a bad feeling about this, Ronaldo thought. Maybe Lapino was right. Maybe they should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here. Ronaldo could feel his fur singe.
think the move for tonight is to do a couple runs of this and then play Buckhead. Or hop back off my phone.
As he held the radiant icosahedron, Renato felt queasy. Like dozens of tiny worms were nibbling his insides. It wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it? He could take it to the observatory. The scientists there could tell him how to harness its ancient power. But honestly, Renato ached to get away from it. He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Renato ached to be rid of it. "Tell you what," said Lupino. "I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost." The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Renato. But what if Lupino lost the core to the Empire? That could be a good thing, couldn't it? Was Renato ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself.
Yes, it's got the check mark right there, so I should just
Lupino
do
is
that.
a touchy rabbit. Renato knew that. "You're brave, I know," Renato said. "But this is what I was hired to do." "Oh, well, at least let me run ahead and warn them you're coming." Renato wondered if Lupino was up to no good. What if the rabbit warned the Empire? Instead. Oh, but Lupino wouldn't betray him like that. Not again. Before it'd been a fluke. Right? They finished the trip to the Nexus in silence. He would offer Lupino a chance to betray him, or not to. His old friend deserved another chance to prove true.
This
All right,
thing ain't well.
Renato said. Go.
That's a whack-ass explanation, man. They're friendly scientists. What does he mean, go ahead and warn them that I'm coming?
As Renato watched Lupino vanish on the horizon, I could feel nausea building in him. He felt ill. Would his knees really be aching this much? But how could he have handed the core off to Lupino? That was a recipe for disaster.
I love slowing
Renato
down
felt
time.
worse. All his joints were aching now. He'd been through beatings that felt better than this. So the core had a kind of poison that could harm you without even touching you. That's new. Well, it had power. The rebellion needed something with power. And how was this any worse than a sword wound? Well, a death by sword was sudden and fair. This was just squalid. A piecemeal death, like old age.
I have never heard that one before. Squalid. I will find a way to use that in relation to a fighting game sometime. I promise you. Man, I deserve more EXP for that. That was tight. I deserve way more EXP for that.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists everywhere. Bernardo found the mad rabbit cowering under a desk. The ravens, they must have known we were coming, said Lupino.
Fuck off, Lupino.
How did you... See, I was doing a card trick with my lucky deck, and I kind of bobbled the cards, so I went under the desk to gather them up, and boom! I guess we'll have to take the car straight to the secret base. Bernardo wasn't sure he believed that, but Lupino was talking so fast. It always seemed to make sense. The secret rebel base. Yes. They had engineers there. But wait. Calaveras, the sage in the mountains. Maybe he would know what to do with the naked core.
See, both of these end in fuck shit. So just a toss up of like what I feel like seeing right now. And I think after this I'll just switch to playing above favorite actually. So let me just get the ugly one.
Ah yes. The secret base. Not even Lupino knew where it was. They had engineers there. Those toads would surely know what to do with the core's power. And then he'd be free of it. But he couldn't take Lupino. The core would work its evil on him too. You stay here. Give me the coordinates. I'll meet you there. Lupino seemed awfully anxious to have the coordinates of the secret rebel base. Someone needs to bury these scientists. Well, why do I get all the fun jobs? And with that, Bernardo returned to the Farfarer and took off.
Okay, that's smart. You on this route, you're just like, nah, son. You cannot know where my homies are. You a snitch.
The ruins were quiet, but Bernardo could hear a buzzing in his ears. Was it bugs? Or was it the core slowly feeding him poison? The council would know what to do. If the core had this much power, it could surely change the terms of the great battle that was coming. And maybe they would take this burden from him. Maybe. He missed her. Not Zenobia. Hypatia. The kid's mother. Bernardo had never thought he'd date a librarian. He'd always figured himself for the barmaid type. But then, he'd never figured the library of Ubar would have comic books, or that Hypatia would know anything about them. He missed her.
That right there is one of my favorite little tidbits of lore from this game, like his relationship with the kid's mother.
chokehold was closing around the rebellion. The base was still secret for now, and for how long? They would have to make a move soon. The core. They had to find a way to use the core. How had it come to this? Renato had signed on as an adventurer. Sure, the Emperor had gone mad. Sure, Renato had heard horrors from the ghosts of dead kittens and puppies sacrificed in his blasphemous rituals. But when he jumped in, he'd only been a little bored and slightly broke. And here he was, carrying a bucket of death across a broken landscape. Why not drop it and run? Because he hated to quit in the middle. That was his fatal flaw. He had to know how it all turned out.
Say goodnight, Gracie, said Renato, wondering who Gracie was.
Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. He dropped the core at the entrance to the council chambers.
Get that thing out of here!
Croaked the speaker.
It's making us sick!
That's the core of the Sky Ripper, said Renato.
That's not useless at all,
Said an engineer toad.
it's poisonous. Look at the fox. He's ill, probably dying.
Yeah, not useless at all, said Renato. So what do I do? Rub it on His Majesty? The engineer chuckled. Renato didn't like it when engineers chuckled.
Oh, I got it. Listen, I can make a bomb that spread bits of the core all over a circle about 100 paces wide. Little chunks of poison and death. All you have to do is just get it near the Emperor. You'll kill him and his bodyguard and chop off the head of the fleet. Yeah, and if we're lucky, might poison some of the ravens around there as well.
What about me?
Right, what about you? Well, I'll build in a timer. You can set it and run.
No, that's a horrible idea, said Renato.
Oh, we had to do something, yes?
Said the speaker.
This is something.
Renato couldn't argue with that. And so, reluctantly, Renato loaded the rigged core onto the Farfarer and set sail towards the Emperor's ship. The rebels took the fight to the Imperial fleet, but Renato was too sick to enjoy the view. He must have passed out as a firm hand grabbed him and shoved him forward. This was it.
Okay.
The fleet seemed very big, and its ravens very tough. Or maybe he was just slower and weaker than before. He hated the idea of poisoning the enemy. It wasn't fair. Face to face with a raven, let the best swordsman survive. But they wouldn't even know what was killing them. Feather by feather, scale by scale. He didn't mind dying a hero.
That sometimes went with being a hero. But he didn't feel at all like a hero. Not today.
Thank God those were in there.
He was exhausted. He was making stupid mistakes. His fur was coming off in bunches. Up ahead, he could see the Emperor's ship, long and sleek, a floating palace. The bomb would only poison a circle 100 paces wide. He would get as close as he could, set it, and run. Oh, this was a lousy way to win the war, people. He didn't want to medal for this. He just wanted to be forgotten.
I think it's really in character Ronaldo wants like an honorable like win. He didn't want to rely on this. I'm also like his war news. This character's so fucking cool.
Renato twisted the timer and the bomb as far as it would go and staggered off. His knees hurt. Oh, everything hurt. He staggered away as far as he could until he had to lie down. He could see the entire Imperial fleet from here and the rebel ships engaged with it. There was a blinding flash. And a second later, a monstrous thump. Burning rocks arced across the sky over both fleets. A wreath of fire shot outwards, rolling across the fleets. A pillar of smoke boiled up from where the Emperor's ship had been. It reached into the clouds. That's a wee bit more than 100 paces, thought Renato. It took Renato most of that evening to die. Some of the toughest ravens lasted all week. Some of the rebels in the furthest ships survived as much as a month. That winter, with neither Empire nor rebels to rule them, the islands slid into banditry. And so began the Second Age of Darkness. Oh, again?
That was an interesting one.
But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Latino. The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe
he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of
Oh,
course,
they got patch notes?
Renato
Oh, I'm
had a
sorry.
pretty strong
I'm looking at
suspicion
Twitter right
that
now.
Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay, if you watch this, thank you. I'm outie.